People, Deluded, I'm back again. A quick one. I want to speak about Martinez, Mavropanos, and I believe Ceballos. We might as well kick off with Mavropanos. Now, he's had a decent 11-12 appearances for Nürnberg in the second division in Bundesliga. He's been sent off. He's made some errors. He's had some convincing performances. You know, they beat the drop. It's fantastic for him and things. Apparently, he is close to completing a loan move to Stuttgart, and that's good for Arsenal. It provides us, first and foremost, with him playing in the top division. Stuttgart got promoted. I've been watching Stuttgart in Bundesliga because Mislintat is there. You know, they've got one I can't say his name, one Tulka, I can't say his name. He used to play for Paris FC. They've got Clinton Mola from Chelsea. They've got a couple decent little players. They've got Mangala. And it'll be nice to see them in the top flight. And obviously it'll be nice to see Mavropanos if he does complete this move to the top flight. Again, Mislintat is the reason Mavropanos was at Arsenal. And he's sourced him now. Is he sourcing him as someone that can be a smart purchase and do a job in the top division? I believe so, because he was getting interest as a result of his performances from German clubs. And I also believe a part of it might be, you know, if we could get him permanently somehow, because can't be ruled out that it might not be permanent. We can obviously make a profit. And maybe a big part for Mavropanos is to go there and obviously first and foremost play football. Because I don't think he's ready right now for the first team. I think he probably has to wait for David Luiz and Mustafi to leave. And I think both of them will probably complete another season at Arsenal to have any chance, because there's too much numbers. I think he needs to go and get tested, because I think he looked shaky against Watford when he played. He looked shaky against Palace when he played and gave away the free kick which led to Benteke's goal. He obviously got sent off against Leicester. He's had some good performances, but he needs to get more experience, people. And for us, obviously, he's playing in the top division. The more questions he's able to answer at that level, the more we're able to convince ourselves he can have a future. If he can have a future here, great. He provides some depth. He's strong. He can ball play. From my little interviews with the Arsenal youth players and stuff, they all say he's very tough to beat in training. So obviously, training and match days are different, but he's still young. For me, I would like him to provide us with a decent option with our defence, because there's, you know, if he goes for another loan and in the next 18 months, you know, there's a case for Holding to leave or stay. Chambers the same. You'd imagine Socrates, Mustafi and Luiz are definitely gone. Saliba's coming in, a new centre-half will come in. Maybe there's an opportunity for Mavropanos. For me, it's also about profit. Even though I don't want Guendouzi to leave, because we could get more money and he can be a player for us, considering we bought him for 8 million and he's linked with going for 40, that's a profit. Mavropanos brought him for minimal millions, could be sold for a 10 or something, and put in a sell-on clause. Now, he could be worth more in the future, but this could all get slapped in. So when you consider Mavropanos could be sold potentially, you know, Guendouzi, Balogun probably leaves this year for 5 to 10 mil. These are all funds coming from players that might not be seen as part of the club's thinking. So what can I say? It puts him in the shop window. It allows him an opportunity to play in the top flight, to either put himself in the shop window or actually play for us. Obviously, he's playing in the top flight, you know, which is good for him. Obviously, it's nice to see we're getting this business done early and we're caring about development. Again, this is all paper talk, but it came from German-based paper, so I'm not too sure what to be believed. But, you know, good luck to Mavropanos if that is going to happen. Now, could it be time to sell Emino Martinez? And I say this, hear me out, I don't want to sell Martinez, of course. He's doing his thing and goal. As a fan, I would love to have him and Leno fighting out for number one. Leno number one, but it's nice to know we've got a competent individual. But I say this because, and I think he will sign a new deal. You hear talk of the club's changed he's changed the club's thinking. We were going for a backup keeper and all of these things because he's getting his dream. But what happens when Leno is fit? Because obviously we'd like them both to fight for a spot. But as you lot know, keepers are not like strikers and things. You can't have one keeper one week and then the other. Maybe when the way the game's going with keepers like Alisson and Edison, and the more being a goalie is becoming less about saving and more about football, maybe they will become interchangeable. But for me, I think Leno is the number one and Martinez is the number two, which, again, with my fan cap on, that is great. But as the player, there was talk of him wanting to leave, him wanting to go and get opportunities elsewhere and play football. He's 27, he's contracted until 2022. With his form, can we get, how many players could get a decent fee? You know, you'd imagine 15 million. Of course, you sell him, you got to get a backup. But you get it, people. Does he want to go back to sitting on the bench against Leno and having unhappy players and going through the same thing again? Now, if he signs a new contract, there's nothing a man could do. Unless he wants to dig his heels in, because he must know when Leno comes back, I am the number two. But I do think it's a healthy problem for Arteta, but it is a problem because you don't want an unhappy player. He might say he wants to leave and things like that, because is he going to be number one when Leno returns? Probably not. Like I said, on form and from a fan's point of view, it makes 100% sense to keep him, give him a new deal. We finally got a decent number 2 option. I think he's a better keeper than Ospina, and he's proven he's a better keeper than I thought he had. But, you know, at 27, you don't want to be being number 2. He's still got a lot to offer at a club elsewhere, and he did have offers to leave, but he didn't leave. And, you know, he's arrived at 17, 18, it's taken him 10 years for this opportunity. If it's sucked away from him, would you think, okay, you know what, I've had my little spell, is what it is. If he buys into what Arteta is doing and things, then great, because he seems like he is, and he seems a decent, valued member of at the side of some capacity. But, you know, do you really want to go back to being second choice and playing, you know, you play all the Europa League games, and that's not an assurances, because when it gets to the important rounds, for me, I believe the best players play. But, you know, he could play the Europa League games, play the FA Cup and the Cagliari Bell. You don't want to rely on the player's injury, but like this season with Leno, rely on players' injuries. Does he want to sit on the bench? And I think about it again, it'll be cutting off our nose to spite our face, because we'd have to buy another keeper. But Martinez could probably bring in a 15. Balogun probably be sold for 5 to 10. Guendouzi sold for 20 to 40 million. These are decent fees. And Mavropanos, if he doesn't go on loan, these are decent fees which could be used, whether I want them all to go or not, because I want to keep Mavropanos to see what player he can be. Obviously, I want Guendouzi to stay, and Balogun. But in terms of money, players, for whether it's my opinion or not, that are not going to be a part of Arteta or the club's thinking, these pennies can be used to slap on top of a transfer key to do other things. If that means bringing in the parties, bringing in, for me, a centre half. I think we need 2 centre halves, but that's just me. So we'll have to see, man. Again, he might have changed people's opinions, but you know, does Martinez want to go back to square one? You have to ask him. Obviously, with the way Ceballos has played since he's got into the team, and definitely his last 7 games in a row, the question has got to be asked. You know, do we sign him permanently? I would bring him in permanently, because, you know, we all knew he was a baller, but he's starting to show enough to concede 30, 40 is decent for him. Obviously, Arteta, if he gets him on loan or on the cheap, it gives him more money or resources to go elsewhere. The only problem for signing Ceballos for me is actually, it's not really anything to do with Ceballos. It's a problem for us as a club. It's that Ceballos can break the lines and stuff, but specifically goals and assists, he's kind of lacking. You know, Xhaka gives us stuff, but Xhaka is not the guy who's going to get you goals and assists. Partey, again, nothing to do with him, because we equally need Partey's skill set, but he's not the guy that's going to get goals and assists. So if we were to play a pivot of them two, as good as they are, you know, Xhaka and Ceballos, what does it offer us really? What does Partey and Xhaka offer us? What does Ceballos and Xhaka offer us? What does potentially even Xhaka, Ceballos and Partey offer us? Because there's dynamism, there's passes and there's breaking the lines, but do you necessarily see any real goals and assists in that midfield 3, which could be a problem of ours? And then I think Torreira is going to be sold as well. Add him into what I said, he could go, because I think Arteta don't really rate him as well. But, you know, our options, they would just scream Torreira, Ceballos, Xhaka, Partey, and they're all decent players and they'll be decent midfield options. But there's a lack of goals, there's a lack of really breaking the lines, excluding Ceballos, really. So I guess there's a decision to make in that regards, people. On that note, I don't have anything more to add, people. That's all I wanted to say, so I'm going to get out of here, people. I just wanted to ask the question. So yeah, we've spoken about Mavropanos, we've touched on Martinez and Ceballos. I'm going to keep it moving. As usual, your support is always appreciative. Deluded, I'm out.